Nestled in the soil of the Northern Neck is the history of America. Not only is this the birthplace of 3 U.S. presidents, it has also been called the cradle of democracy. With its vibrant landscapes, colonial architecture, rich culture and traditions, the Northern Neck is a destination full of adventure and recreation. But if you dig a little deeper, beneath the surface, you will find the hidden history of this plenteous land. Stories of the indigenous people who lived here for thousands of years before settlers arrived, and those who proudly remain, carrying on the customs and legacy of their ancestors.
The thing that I am most proud of in terms of an indigenous legacy in the Northern Neck is that while I think perhaps we haven't always been as visible to outside people, we have always been present, both as a group of people, but also in the land. Most of the names of places, towns, waterways in the Northern Neck are indigenous names. I mean, Rappahannock and Potomac are indigenous words. Rappahannock means place where the tide ebbs and flows, and Potomac, of course, means trading place. But then there's also numerous other names in the area that have an indigenous root. Maratico, for example, is one. So I think, even though people maybe have tried to remove us in some sense from the landscape, we never left, and we're still here, and we're not going anywhere.
There are also stories of African descendants whose brilliance and hard work, though not spoken of in history books, laid the foundations of America's history and the freedom that we all enjoy today. Blacks in the Northern Neck have served in the United States Armed Forces from the Revolutionary War to the War of 1812, the Civil War, and both World Wars.
Westmoreland County is famous for 2 Revolutionary War heroes, the brothers James and Bennett McCoy. They lived on a large farm in Kinsale, Virginia. Bennett was the marcher. He marched from Virginia to North Carolina, South Carolina, and he was with General George Washington when Cornwallis surrendered at Yorktown. James was a waterman. He was the bowman for his captain, and he knew all of the inlets, the brooks, the little rivers. He knew everything about the waterways in the state of Virginia. Now, he traveled all over on the waterways with his captain. He was very brave, he was very famous, and the 2 brothers had their highway marker that is located in Kinsale, Virginia on Sandy Point Road.
I was born in the Northern Neck and grew up with a great sense of the importance of our history here. Even though I grew up with a pride in our history, I also grew up in the era of this country where the Northern Neck was rigidly segregated, and my knowledge of our history was mostly of white people, largely written by white people. I really never knew until much later in my life that Native Americans had been here over 10,000 years before the European settlers came. Nor did I know much of the struggles of persons enslaved here whose enforced labor had supported the lifestyle and the affluence of many of the white gentry. The Hidden History Trail allows me to help in the telling of our history through the lenses of people of color, both African Americans and Native Americans, both their struggles and their contributions to our life and culture, sometimes obvious but not affirmed.
These stories are now being told along the Northern Neck Hidden History Trails. Discover the missing thread of American history as you explore our site. Then map out your visit and build your own trails. Walk in the footsteps of these unsung heroes and learn of their contributions to their families, their communities, and this country. There's more than meets the eye here in the Northern Neck, and we invite you to discover it on the Northern Neck Hidden History Trails.